attacks in the tribal areas, the Taliban have increasingly moved to the cities, and Karachi, with its huge Afghan refugee population, is the perfect place to blend in.
कराची में ये जो दहशतगर्दी हो रही है,
चौधरी असलम,
तालिबान फैक्टर है, ये है सबसे बड़ा गेम। इन्होंने मुख्तलिफ जगहों पे ब्लास्ट किया है, CID सेंटर पे ब्लास्ट किया जो हमारे दफातर थे, मेरे घर पे ब्लास्ट किया है। ये हैं सबसे ख़तरनाक लोग, और ये भी हमने बहुत ज़्यादा पकड़ लिए।
Now I'll admit that I don't know a lot about police tactics, but I couldn't help but notice that this operation lacked the element of surprise. You've got hundreds of police officers with sirens blaring, and again, every television crew in town. None of the cops seem too worried about walking into a potential showdown with some of America's most wanted. It wasn't quite the crack team we were expecting to be conducting this kind of operation. Deputy Tariq Malik was designated as our official tour guide for the operation. I feel like I'm on the set of a cop movie right now. The kind of buffoon cops that nobody wants to work with, they get the shitty assignment. So we headed into the back alleys of Orangutan to find some Taliban, Sunni extremists, or any other kind of bad guy that was still dumb enough to be there after 300 members of Karachi's finest came rolling through. So this is
Karachi's finest.
Afghani and Masood tribe neighborhood. Here's a 4.5 million person slum that you can't control. So when the Taliban want to hide, when things are getting too hot in the tribal areas, they'll come to a place like this and blend right in, and no one knows they're here. Jihadis, that's what they're hunting for. The new gang in town. Our friend Deputy Malik seemed more interested in texting than catching Taliban. Do you think anyone
probably getting information on phone.
Will anyone shoot at us?
Yeah.
Will they shoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, attack with us. Then we will shoot.
Okay. You'll protect Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He's saying yeah even before listening to what he's saying.
Okay.
Will you? Yeah.
The cops stopped and searched the first vaguely religious-looking guy they saw, only to come up empty. So we continued on. Going house by house now.
This guy in the white has his finger on the trigger.
Yeah, I know. He actually seems serious about this whole thing, which makes me think that they might actually pull some criminals out of this. I mean, they can't not with all this media. But then I started thinking, what if we do run into some hardcore Taliban and shit hits the fan? I'm going to explain this to Jason's mom. I'm sorry, Mrs. Mohica, but your son, he was shot while embedded with the Karachi police force. He was hunting down Sunni extremists. Just another day at the office.
Is that the cameraman?
I was beginning to figure out Deputy Malik's policing strategy. No camera left behind. I mean, this is just a pure show. This is a pure media cop show for all the networks tonight. When I go on these shoots, I don't want to end up surrounded by guns. It just happens. Why are there so many dudes with guns in everything we film? How do you know when you find the Taliban?
Yeah, we search the area. Our intelligence work is there, and they told this place.
Right. And what are you looking for right now?
What?
Specific Taliban members?
Yeah, especially Taliban. Yeah, where is the Taliban? Killer type people.
Killers.
Yeah,
You're looking for the killers.
Especially killer.
And then what are you going to do with the killers?
Killer people.
When you find them, you're going to arrest them?
Yeah, ransom. They take the
He is so condescending to Saru Shalvi, yaar.
This area is also.
Okay, yes, I speak English. What you want? I say yes.
Looking for killer type peoples. And then they found him.
Killer type
Straight out
people.
of central casting, a proper suspected Taliban member, turban and all. Deputy Malik.
क्या शो लगाया हुआ है यार.
The media were happy, so the cops were happy, and they called it a day with one 9mm pistol and a guy in a turban safely off the streets.
और फिर ये सोचते हैं कि बॉम्ब्स क्यों फट रहे हैं.
Confiscate किए. Are you legal है लाइसेंस के साथ है या नहीं?
पता लगेगा उसको तो उससे पूछेंगे.
अच्छा. और वो जो आदमी था आप सोच रहे हैं कि वो तालिबान में है या नहीं?
अभी तो कुछ नहीं मालूम है, अभी पता करेंगे. उसको बिठाया हुआ देखते हैं.
Some guns that they confiscated from the old guy that looked like he might have been in Taliban. I highly doubt he was in Taliban.
Did you see how that happened?
Yeah, he was smiling. He was smiling a bit.
He's just a regular guy who looks like a regular Muslim, and you know,
All the
every guy with a beard and a turban is not
situation
Taliban.
aside, this is a really dangerous neighborhood.
Yeah, and if you weren't surrounded by 300 cops, it probably wouldn't be.
Exactly. Watching what was supposed to be a sensitive anti-terrorist operation get turned into a media circus, I couldn't help but think that it was no wonder the U.S. didn't want to involve the Pakistanis in the raid on bin Laden's compound. It would have been broadcast on live television, and bin Laden would have vanished into thin air. Kind of like any actual Taliban that may have been in Narangi town. We're back here today, much to the chagrin of the cops, who say that it's too dangerous to be here because this is Taliban town and this is where everyone gets kidnapped from and that we shouldn't be here. But we wanted to find out from the people who live here.
Yeah, because you have a spine.
The operation yesterday. So let's go see. Our fixer was very nervous about being a sitting duck in the middle of Orangi town, to the point where he refused to get out of the car. He said we were asking for trouble. We promised we'd only ask 2 quick questions and then get the hell out of there. मैं आपसे 2 questions पूछ सकता हूँ? जो कल जो police operation होया या आप उसके बारे में क्या सोचते हैं? Honestly, आप बताएं क्या सोचते हैं उसके बारे में?
बाद में जो आया बस देखा हम लोगों ने आंखों से बस क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ.
पता नहीं ये क्या मसला था. कोई इधर ऐसा लोग है नहीं. अभी तो कोई अभी न तालिबान इधर न पूछे भाई ऐसे गरीब लोग को तंग करेंगे ऐसे.
और कल हम पुलिस ऑपरेशन के साथ आए थे और हम आज वापस आने चाहते थे. पूछ लो कि ये लोग जो यहाँ रहते हैं क्या सोचते हैं इस ऑपरेशन के बारे में जो कल है.
He is so out of place.
अच्छा. Let's go. Let's bounce. People are watching and making calls. So let's go. As soon as we approached those guys, the vibe suddenly changed, and I had a sinking feeling that we had overstayed our welcome. Let's get the fuck out of here. Get him quickly. Yusuf! Yusuf, Ajay! The last guys, I think, were Taliban. People were making calls and staring.
Risky business, bro. Risky business.
You see any people that look dangerous, maybe? Really? Yeah, I felt the vibe change. Oh, it went fast, too.
It does go from completely homely feeling से 2 सेकंड में vibe change हो जाती है ऐसी. You start getting scared for your life.
They refused to talk to us. I looked over my corner and there was a guy glaring at me on the phone, making a call to someone else, which was our cue to leave. We didn't get kidnapped in Orangi town, so we decided to
Thank
push our
God.
luck by visiting the place where the kidnapped victims are reportedly held. The dump. The air was thick with
Fuck.
smoldering rot. There were millions of flies, and the stench was unbearable.
God damn it, man. I think they're on my pants.
Look at this cute little guy. Hey, little buddy. How's life living off garbage? Oh. Ugh. Fuck. We're here, Fuck.
Fuck.
We're here.
Standing still is a problem with the flies, definitely.
Yeah. We're here an hour outside of Karachi in the largest waste dump in Karachi, and some say the largest waste dump in the world. It's just like maybe out of a film about the future and post-apocalypse, and this is all
That's what it will look like post-apocalyptic.
And when the gangsters kidnap people, the best place to bring them is just on the other side of this garbage dump, because no one ever comes out here. I mean, why would they? It's brutal. It's like hell on earth. Another effect of the war in Afghanistan has been a major increase in the flow of heroin into Pakistan, and at rock bottom prices. Let's go. Come on. Alright, we're coming, man. We're going to buy some heroin. We're going to buy some dope with these guys.
literally off the
And it's
street.
weird because we're like, hey, can we watch you guys shoot up and buy some heroin? They're like, sure, why not? Sounds like a perfectly good idea.
It's not that unique. Happens in every country, in Netherlands, in all of Europe.
$200 in the U.S. Here in Karachi, it
There's
costs
junkies in every country.
Wow, we just lost him dropping down. This is the shop for heroin.
Even at these ridiculously low prices, the market for illegal opiates in Pakistan is more than $1 billion annually, with roughly 160 metric tons of heroin coming in every year, feeding the habits of over 4 million addicts. We headed back to these guys' favorite place to shoot up, the middle of a busy street.
Oh, we've got some heroin zombies on our tail.
The middle of a busy street.
तो आप दिन में आप कितने ये करते हैं?
This is sad beyond words.
आप 3 लगाते हैं। और यहाँ जो हेरोइन मिलते हैं, ये खालिस है, प्योर है?
ये प्योर है, ये एविल होता है और रेस्टोरेंट होता है इसके अंदर। ये हेरोइन के अंदर मिला के लगाते हैं कि नशा ज़रा दबा होता है। सही करके अच्छा इसमें लगा दे ये।
छोटे बच्चे भी करते हैं?
बच्चे भी करते हैं, यस।
बहुत।
बच्चा
छोटे बच्चे।
Fuck, he's tripping, dude. The family will see you falling bench.
आप HIV नहीं है? लेकिन ये काफी है।
ऐसे सर हम लोगों को गोली मार देनी चाहिए।
Fuck.
हम अपने मुल्क का इलाज काट रहे हैं, हमको गोली मार देनी।
Since we were having such a heavy day, our fixer decided to take us someplace that he thought would cheer us up.
So we're going to
चर्च खरीदने जा रहे
some
हैं?
crocodiles
How?
that they say are hundreds, if not thousands, of years old. Are those things fake or real? I don't know what the fuck.
They're real, dude. I've been there.
Oh, what's in his mouth? No thanks. I'm not going in there. You can go in. Aw.
These crocodiles are actually disciples of a famous Punjabi saint named Gunshakar. They're famous for eating like gulab jamins and halwa. They're the only crocodiles in the world that eat desserts.
Really?
That's random. It's a great sound effect. Why is there like a crocodile farm museum here?
It's a good question.
After that weird interlude,
ऐसे ही
we
खींचता
headed
है.
back to the hotel to rest up for one of the scariest appointments we'd ever made. A meeting with the target killer.
That's a sensitive subject.
And how many people have you killed?
In Karachi, politics is a contact sport, and members of Pakistan's dozens of political parties have been known to put more trust in bullets than in ballots. Mob violence, bombings, and assassinations are sadly par for the course here. And while political leaders are often targeted,
I used to live there.
files suffer the consequences too.
We are driving into the ANP stronghold. It's the Awami National Party. On this side is the ANP, on this side is the MQM stronghold, and apparently they have a lot of beef and they shoot at each other.
We met up with Hamza Khan, one of the local leaders of the ANP. The ANP are the largest party representing Pashtuns, a Pashto-speaking ethnic group concentrated in Pakistan and Afghanistan. He took us out onto the main road. This corridor often turns into a kind of shooting gallery between these two rival groups, as evidenced by the bullet holes throughout the neighborhood.
And why aren't you worried that people won't shoot at us right now?
Maybe possible if they shoot us. If somebody tell them that you're making a documentary, maybe they shoot us.
You and me. Maybe we should go up then as soon as we can. Maybe we should make our way to
No problem, inshallah. Allah.
No problem, inshallah.
Allah's with us. We'll be okay, inshallah.
It's sad, but I don't like crying, so I laugh.
Not only could we see the line that separates these two neighborhoods, but we could finally see what they were so often fighting for: land. That is, the lack of it. Land is the most precious commodity in Karachi, a city that has grown exponentially in recent decades. So while Pakistani politics are often organized around ethnic or interest groups, in Karachi, what most of those groups want is more land.
All around the world.
Oh,
And they are the bigger terrorists than Al Qaeda
okay.
and then other terrorists.
MQM.
MQ.
The MQM is a party that was founded to represent the Urdu-speaking Muslims whose families migrated to Pakistan from India. We headed to the heavily barricaded neighborhood that's home to MQM headquarters. The neighborhood was plastered with images of the MQM's charismatic leader, Altaf Hussain.
This one is awesome.
Charismatic? Yeah, I don't know about that.
That's like his kind of psychedelic era.
Not my leader.
Look at him over here. He's in the iris.
This one is like trying to go for the Che Guevara vibe.
Very Che.
Because he fears assassination, Hussein communicates with his followers via Skype from his home in London.
In London.
So instead we met with
Well
the Minister
paid.
for Youth Affairs, Faisal Sabzwari.
We were in the kind of ANP neighborhood yesterday, Kati Pahari, and they don't like the MQM too much over there. they accuse MQM of terrorism.
The issue with ANP in Karachi has been that some thugs and goons have been running their show in Karachi. Extortion, kidnapping for ransom, drug money. That's what.
Is he talking about MKM or ANP?
ANP have been doing.
You can call them thugs and goons, but I think MQM also people are intimidated by because there are thugs and goons on your side as well.
Let's
I
be real.
get that idea as well. We have no such kind of a group of people. Yes.
There's no military or
No way.
That's a lie.
Yet. There are areas. If you have visited Katipari, people in those particular areas are forced to carry on. Why? Because we are living amongst those fanatics, amongst those people who have no respect to human life, whose politics is only commercialized interest.
So the short version of all this is that people are getting killed in Karachi every day. There's gang violence, tons of mafia, sectarian killings, and in more recent years, suicide bombings. But for the political parties, it's a massive turf war. And while politicians and businessmen would never admit that they engage in assassinating their rivals, someone is hiring the so-called target killers. We wanted to interview one of the men responsible for this dirty work, so we arranged a meeting with the target killer.
Target killer
It was uncomfortable for
is very
everyone
famous in
involved.
Karachi.
We negotiated the terms of the interview, in a moving car and with his motorcycle helmet on. And not surprisingly, the guy who kills people for money, he wanted to get paid.
You have तैयार हैं? Okay. आप कितने साल से आपने ये काम किया है? Target killer का
This is surreal, man.
आपने ये काम क्यों शुरू किया?
बेरोजगारी की वजह
And how many people have you killed? हमने ये
35
कितने पैसे मिलते हैं?
75,000 लाख रुपए 1.25 लाख
That's it?
वैसे आदमी वैसे पैसे
And किस तरह के लोग आपने target killing किए?
पॉलिटिशियन भी थे बिजनेसमैन भी थे हम तो अगले दिन खबर पढ़ते थे इसके अलावा हमें कुछ नहीं पता
और आप नहीं पूछते थे?
हाँ हमें नहीं पता होता था कि कौन आदमी है क्या है बस हमें कौन आता था फलानी गाड़ी में फलाना बंदा है इसको हिट करना
आप उसको कैसे पहचानते हैं?
मतलब रखी करते थे उनकी 3-4 दिन तक उनको वॉच करते थे कहाँ
Fuck.
जा रहे हैं कहाँ आ रहे हैं क्या घर है क्या बच्चे हैं क्या है उसके बाद जो है गेम बजाते थे
हमने कभी मिस्टेक किया कि से आदमी को आपने नहीं मारा?
बहुत दफ़ा ऐसा हुआ 3-4 दफ़ा ऐसा हुआ
Fuck.
तो ये आप कैसे काम करते हैं ये?
एक आदमी मोटरसाइकिल चला रहा था, टारगेट किलर बैठा होता।
अच्छा, आप कितने दफ़ा गोली मारते हैं? Twice. Once for the window and once in the head.
Head.
And heart. अच्छा। और फिर क्या आप कैसे महसूस होते हैं?
बस सुकून नहीं मिलता, कहीं भी सुकून नहीं मिलता, घर पे सुकून नहीं, बाहर सुकून नहीं, कहीं भी नहीं।
यार
फिर आदमी नशे की तरफ जाता है। ये काम छोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं जहनी बीमार हो गया हूँ, मुझे रात को नींद नहीं आती, टेंशन है।
आप क्यों नहीं रोक सकते? ये लिंक्स आप क्यों रखते हैं?
कहते हैं कि अगर ये लिंक्स नहीं रखें हम लोग तो ये लोग हमारी बॉडी बना देंगे, हमें मार देंगे।
वाह।
क्योंकि उनके सबूत हैं हमारे पास।
And अभी कराची में क्या हो रहा है? सिचुएशन बेहतर हो रहा है, खराब हो रहा है?
बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब हो रहा है। पहले 6 टारगेट किलर थे, अब 600 टारगेट किलर है।
फक।
जो सारे 600 टारगेट किलर्स हैं और इतने किलिंग्स हो रहे हैं कि ये मामला किस चीज़ से आता है? ये पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन से या बिजनेस से या और कोई माफिया जैसे?
20% माफिया, 80% पॉलिटिकल।
Shame on you
अपने
people.
गन दिखा सकते हैं?
Shame on you motherfuckers.
शुक्रिया हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए।
Thank you.
All right, you want to get him his dough?
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, that was intense.
That
That was intense for me. I cannot even imagine what's Sarouj going through at that time.
Really strange. Sitting next to someone who's killed 35 people, and you could just tell from his demeanor and from his eyes.
I bet.
He was a hard dude. And there's 600 guys like that roaming around this city. Anytime anyone has beef to settle with someone else, they want to kill them. Just hire one of these guys and don't pay them that much money, and they'll do the work. It's lawless, wild, and chaotic here. And that is some scary shit.
And on a lighter note,
2 thieves got shot and killed. They're gonna go pick the bodies up.
That's on a lighter note.
one thing had become
For
clear.
vice maybe, yeah.
There's no shortage of murder and mayhem in Karachi. Between the gangs and the cops and the politicians and the target killers, this was definitely one of the craziest cities in the world. But that's coming from me. I asked the ambulance driver, a native Karachiite, how he'd describe the city.
Karachi to finish. Karachi nahi dekha mare hi nahi.
And that's when I realized it was time to go.
So true.
हम आपको और भी कुछ दिखा रहे हैं.
That if we didn't quit while we were ahead, we'd just wind up on some hamster wheel of violence and corruption till we too were dead.
हम आपको जिना दिखाना चाह रहे हैं.
Just another statistic in the most gangsterific city in Pakistan.
That was intense as fuck, dude. That was so intense. I really need to breathe a little bit. That was all about Karachi, Pakistan's most dangerous city at a point. And that's because of the political turmoil जो के जा रहा था वहाँ पे. Not because of Taliban, not because of extremism, not because of foreign hand. सिर्फ अपने लोग, अंदर के लोग एक दूसरे को मारने पे तुले हुए थे. Just because of some turf war. Documentary was very good, very modernized, very retro in a sense, in its aesthetics. लेकिन the way of reporting news was really modern, which is very Vice-like. Vice इस तरह के काम करती रहती है. Documentary starts off with the Lyari situation. The situation in Lyari is that it's a big area with a lot of votes, a lot of potential votes, and this one political party, People's Party, Bhutto की party, they've been a big favorites of those people. वो बेचारे शुरू से अपनी कास्ट के चक्कर में उसी पार्टी को वोट देते हैं, और जब भी वो पार्टी जीतती है वो पार्टी अपना कोई ऐसा बंदा बिठा देती है जिससे पैसे लेती है, एंड देन ही फक्स अप द होल प्लेस. आई थिंक लियारी कराची का सबसे अंडर रिप्रेजेंटेड इलाका है. Nobody from Liari gets a chance, or even if they have the talent, they get shut down somehow, or they get distracted somehow. They never are able to come forward with their ideas, with their progressive ideas. That's the tragedy of Liari. आपने example में देखा Uzair Baloch और Nabil Gabor. Uzair Baloch is the guy who's the Robin Hood. अमीरों से चुराता था, गरीबों में बांटता था, थोड़ा बहुत खुद भी रखता था. Obviously, I think he's still around, but he's in jail, he's in custody. अभी भी वो प्रोटेक्टेड है. If you guys have seen the Indian movie Vastav, he's the Vastav. एक न एक दिन आएगा कोई politician फिरेगा और उसको मरवा देगा. And you know, this is how things go. Chaudhry Aslam, on the other hand, was supposed to be a great cop. He died. Taliban attacked him and killed him. At least that's what we hear from the news media. पता नहीं किसने मारा किसने नहीं मारा. But he killed a lot of Taliban. Chaudhry Aslam, उसने बहुत तालिबान मारे थे. उसने बहुत सारे पीपी के लिए भी बहुत सारी इस तरह की चीज़ें की थी. अगले पार्ट में they went on to show how Pakistani police conducts raids for the media. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि दिस इज़ हाउ दे कंडक्ट ओरिजिनल रेड्स. ऑब्वियसली जो ओरिजिनल रेड्स होती हैं, जो मीनिंगफुल रेड्स होती हैं, वो इस तरह कंडक्ट नहीं की जाती हैं. वो बहुत स्पेशल कॉरस्पॉन्डेंस के साथ और बहुत प्लानिंग के साथ और बहुत डिस्कशन के साथ की जाती हैं. पाकिस्तानी इंटेलिजेंस जब इस काम पे आती है तो देर वन ऑफ द बेस्ट. लेकिन दिस वाज ऑल ऑब्वियसली टू शो मीडिया कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है, जस्ट टू शट अप द पंडित्स. अनफॉर्चुनेटली वाइस को भी ये देखने को मिला. एटलीस्ट बाकी न्यूज एजेंट्स की तरह वो दे weren't believing that bullshit. They called them out on that bullshit. Vice said कि हाँ, this is just for show, this is just a cop show. In those areas there are people, there are Taliban sympathizers, and they're not terrorist sympathizers, they're Taliban sympathizers. And there's a whole debate about if Talibans are good or bad. Like everybody else, they're also human, and they also just want to live their life peacefully. But there are people that go to extreme lengths to make a point, and their point, even if it's right, the way they're trying to make it is not right. By killing innocent people, by killing multiple people at the same time, that's just craziness. That's the definition of terrorism. So to distinguish between Taliban and terrorism and certain people who believe in something and certain people who believe in something else, that's key. अगर आप सबको एक ही बास्केट से एक ही पेंट ब्रश से पेंट कर देंगे, it's not gonna work out for you. Anyway, the crocodile farm was मुझे पता नहीं क्यों याद पड़ता है कि मैं बचपन में एक दफ़ा जा चुका हूँ उस जगह. I remember that place and it was a fun place to go at that time. Or I don't think it has changed at all in all those years, 20 सालों में. I know this seems like a really negative video about Karachi, negative documentary, but all these things are true. थोड़ा exaggerated है मीडिया के उसमें sensationalism लाने के लिए किया है, but still most of it is true. I lived most of my life in Karachi. I was born there. रोडों पे जो हेरोइनची बैठे हुए, drug addicts, junkies जो बैठे हुए हैं, all those junkies, they exist, and they buy their drugs exactly the same way as they showed in that documentary. From a gutter somewhere, some guy sitting in there and passing it out. We saw those things when we were kids walking to school and coming back. We would see those people on the streets just, you know, waiting to die and high on their drugs. And it was sad how one of those guys said कि हमें गोली मार देनी चाहिए, which it just makes you feel कि यार एक इंसान की इतनी वैल्यू होती है. A person's life has so much value, and then to see it go to waste like this is just heartbreaking. Documentary also talks about the political scenario. जिस पे मेरा खून खोलता है, जिस पे I get really upset. It's politics. It should be words. It should not be bullets. It should not be blood for blood. It should be words for words. आपके अंदर अकल होनी चाहिए अपना पॉइंट अक्रॉस कराने की. पाकिस्तान में मसला ये कि अगर अकलमंद आदमी के सामने कोई बात करोगे तो आपको जवाब देगा अकलमंदी से. उसके पास जवाब नहीं होगा तो वो मान लेगा कि उसके पास जवाब नहीं है. लेकिन जो मेजॉरिटी के लोग हैं उनके पास जब जवाब नहीं होता ना, दे रिजोर्ट टू यूजिंग देयर हैंड्स. तो ये एक मेंटालिटी है जो हमें बदलनी होगी पाकिस्तान में भी. जब जवाब नहीं मिलता तो फिर हाथापाई पे शुरू हो जाता है कि इसने ऐसा क्यों बोला. भाई उसने कुछ बोला है तो आप भी कुछ बोल दो. ये भी एक चीज़ है जो हमें सिखानी पड़ेगी. आई लाइक हाउ ही वेंट टू बोथ ANP जो कि कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी है एक थोड़ी कराची की, और MQM जो कि सपोज टू बी लिबरल पार्टी. डोंट बी मिस्टेकन, दोनों पार्टीज सपोर्ट किलिंग ईच अदर्स मेंबर्स 100%. ये जो टारगेट किलर का जो इंटरव्यू था, he does not belong to one party. वो दोनों के लिए काम कर चुका होगा, I'm sure. MQM has their own people जो कि करते हैं ये. They can claim defense all they want. सही है. MQM के साथ भी बहुत गलत हुआ था 1970s में और उससे पहले और उसके बाद 90s तक. And they had to fight back. उसके लिए ज़रूरत पड़ती है ऐसे लोगों की, and it's totally understandable. लेकिन to use those motivations, to use that rhetoric to do snatchings, phone snatchings and daketis and robberies and armed robberies, how are you a political party then? आप तो बस एक फिर गुंडागर्दी का ग्रुप और क्या हो? That's what you are left with. Me being a resident of Karachi, I testify this कि हाँ हम घबराते थे कि MQM के लड़के मार देंगे आके, आप ANP के बंदे उठा लेंगे आपको. It's true. That's what everybody believed, and that's what we saw happening in front of our eyes. मेरे ख्याल से PTI is the only party that would not threaten your life, at least. अगर आप उसके अगेंस्ट बोलोगे तो वो आपको मारेंगे नहीं जान से. वो आपके खिलाफ 15 चीज़ें कर देंगे. They will take you to court, they will write articles about you, they will hate on you on social media, they will do everything in their power, but they will not take your life because that's just wrong. That's a इससे आप डिफीट एक्सेप्ट करते हो बेसिकली कि मैं हार गया, मेरे पास कोई और ऑप्शन नहीं है, इसलिए मैं तुझे मार देता. एक बुज़दिल कौम और एक बुज़दिल पार्टी की निशानी है ये कि अपने कंटेंडर को डराए और उसको मारने की धमकी दे या उसको मार. ये कमज़ोरी की निशानी है, ताकत की नहीं. Yeah, that was very intense when he's sitting with the target killer in the back of his car, and they're talking about how many people he has killed and वो कैसे सोचता है. I bet कि उसकी भी ज़िंदगी इतनी आसान नहीं होगी. He knows he has killed 35 people before their time. जब उनका टाइम नहीं आया था, इसने उनका टाइम कम कर दिया, शॉर्ट कर दिया इस दुनिया में. ये दिस इज़ अ हैवी बर्डन टू कैरी. आई कैन नेवर इमेजिन कि कैसा फील करता होगा वो बंदा जिसने किसी इंसान को मारा हो, किसी का मर्डर किया हो, इवन लॉफुली. Even if you're that person जो इलेक्ट्रिक चेयर पे बटन दबाता है, even then it's a very intense, very heavy thing to live with. It was really widespread at that time. अब thank God इतना ऐसा कोई हाल नहीं है. कराची की सिचुएशन बहुत बेहतर हो गई है. वो एक सीन बीच में आया था जिसमें दुकान जल रही थी, and that was a little exaggerated. I know this because मैं वहाँ रहता था, and वो नीचे बैंक था, फैसल बैंक, और वहाँ किसी एक्सीडेंट की वजह से आग लग गई थी, कोई शॉर्ट सर्किट की वजह से. That was not a terrorism incident. I don't know why वो इंक्लूड किया गया था वो फुटेज, और आई थिंक ये किसी एडिटर की बकचोदी है जो पाकिस्तान में इनका फिक्सर था उसकी. I don't know. That was not a terrorism incident. That was nothing. There was nothing criminal about it. That was just a fire accident. वो मेरी अपार्टमेंट बिल्डिंग के नीचे हुआ था because I could see कि वो मेरी अपार्टमेंट बिल्डिंग है. So that was funny. I hope you weren't too scared of Karachi. There are very good parts as well, like all other cities. Even आप US में भी अगर cities देख लें, Detroit has its bad parts and its good parts. Well, Detroit में इतने अच्छे good parts नहीं है, but if you go to New York में ऐसी जगह है जो कि no-go areas समझी जाती हैं. You will never see a white person in that area. कभी अपनी ज़िंदगी में नहीं देखेंगे आप एक गोरा आदमी उस जगह पे नज़र आ जाए आपको, क्योंकि वो कंसिडर ऐसी जगह. तो ऐसी चीज़ें पाकिस्तान में भी हैं कि हाँ, वहाँ पे इस तरह का आदमी नहीं नज़र आएगा आपको, क्योंकि वो घबराता है वहाँ जाने. मेरे अपने शहर में यार, there are pizza delivery guys who say I cannot deliver to this area. I would get shot. I would be dead. This is happening in today's America, so don't even give me a lecture on what's happening in my country. Thank you again, Vice, for allowing me to watch these videos on my channel. I really appreciate that. I will watch more Vice videos about Pakistan or about other interesting stuff. Leave your requests in the comments. Leave it on Facebook or Twitter. Follow me on my Snapchat and Instagram. I will see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shab-ba-Khair.
रात के 3